And I've been feeling all sorts. I've been really going through the motions, and although I'm going to be doing the script for today's podcast, I just thought we talk a little bit, I wrote the script, and the script is all about really the gap between your, what you want and how to reach it with your success, and how it's all about your mindset. So, hey, if you don't know me, I'm Sinjana This is my podcast, and today we're going to be talking about mindset. It takes, what it takes to be successful, your mindset. So, in terms of mindset, I've been battling a lot with this idea, and there's something I'm throwing to the ends of the podcast that is totally unscripted. So, let's just get right into it. Now, we all know working hard, consistent effort, and good habits are really important to achieving what you want. But if you don't believe in yourself, in your creations, in what you put into the world, and its value, you'll never succeed. You see, because success isn't just about hard work, but also believing. As I said, it's all about your mindset. So this episode is broken up into the following topics in order to tackle the mindset you need for success. And before we go a little too far into the topics, when I say success is different for every single person, and success doesn't always equal money, but yes, that is a great perk and a necessary thing in order to live, to eat, to pay your bills, that type of thing, but really success is fulfillment, and we'll talk a little bit about that, the unscripted part, my true feelings. So as I said, the podcast will be broken up into the 4 things: belief, fear in putting your ideas out there, patience, and confidence in your art. So let's start with belief. I personally believe that if you have a plan B, you're already going to fail. Your plan A should be to publish that book, that webtoon, start that art business. It should be an elaborate plan on how you're going to pull it off and your move at every step of the way. Without thinking, well, if this fails, I'll just do this and revert to your plan B. See, belief is the biggest thing you need to achieve your dreams. There's a gap between what you want and what you can achieve. You should constantly believe that you can make it, that there is no plan B. You attract what you create, so create the life you want in your mind first. A lot of artists don't believe in themselves, and I just really wanted to talk about this. I started a separate account called art_terraces. It was what the first podcast of the series was inspired by, but I realized I started the account on the wrong terms, and so when I think about it, I experienced a lot of anxiety from that account, because I was like, well, if it's not working out here, how will it work out when I'm an artist? I didn't believe in myself, and it's really difficult to believe in yourself. It's really difficult to believe that people will receive what you want them to receive in the right way. You could work for hours on something, a YouTube video, an art piece, my podcast. You could work on hours on it, and you would just feel like, what if nobody likes it? And, it really does take over to our next point, fear, and, the fear of putting your creations out there. I am very scared to put this out there. I'm very scared to hear if anybody's even gonna listen to it. Will anybody even click on it? I don't know. But you never know until you put it out there and you try it. So fear is the second reason why a lot of artists land up unsuccessful for years. Being scared is honestly totally okay, but you shouldn't let that fear paralyze you the way it did to me. You see, you can be scared because you may not be sure what this new life you're pursuing is like. As humans, we rebel against change because it's unfamiliar territory. But you know what they say? The grass is greener on the other side. After you post whatever you need to post, it's done. It's out there. It's over. Don't delete it. Don't take it out. Just let it be. And don't be afraid of whatever the reaction that you're going to get. Don't be afraid. You put your truest value of yourself out there. You put your truest creations out there. You already took this risk with a career that is not conventional, art. And so you're already putting yourself in a so-called, quote-unquote, risky position. What do you have to lose, You chose art because it is undeniably you. You cannot live your life without doing it, so do it happily. People are not scared of failure, but rather success. Success has so much unknown territory versus the known territory of poverty and being at the bottom. Or just living the life you're still living today when it could be better, when you could be happier. People aren't used to change and struggle with it. I totally felt that starting my podcast, and I just experienced this fear, and it grappled at my entire being. And it started from the idea, well, what will all of this lead me to? Is it just a waste of time? And will I have too many responsibilities that I will not know how to take on? Which is something we all fear. What if you start something you don't know how to tackle? And I think it's just about learning along the way. I realized I wanted to start something else too, but I didn't have the time or the energy to do it. And so I could only make this podcast. And I think it's enough. I also thought to myself, will it lead to judgment from those around me? I almost didn't start this podcast, but I did because I really just want to share everything I've learned over the last couple of months of me taking an art course and learning more about the mindset you need in order to keep going and have the motivation to do art. And being successful as an artist comes from being having a good mindset. So that is why I wanted to start this podcast. Truly and utterly just for that. And, I think it's just taking it really slowly, as I said. Just go slowly and do everything you need to do. It's just a simple process. Your success is 100% in your hands. By taking this challenge, you can open yourself up to so many opportunities. Like me starting this podcast, I could meet somebody who's experienced some of the things I'm mentioning right now. And that would be so nice to make a good friend, who is an artist, who experiences grappling fear of putting their work out there, fear of so many different things. And we can connect and we can talk and I can share whatever they experience with you guys. So in order to be successful, you really need to take that chance, that leap of faith, because although you won't see the initial payoff, a few months or a year from now, anything could happen. And to me, the time just seems like such a big thing. And I realize patience is also probably a very big part of your success. We have the internet at the tap of a button, and if you do all the right strategies to grow, then you will be successful. But you also got to be patient. Patience is so important, and I feel like I'm not patient enough. I'm not patient enough with certain things, and it's foolish because a good piece of art can take anywhere between 5 to 15, 20 hours. Why am I not patient to wait maybe that amount of time for something of mine to grow, to blow up? I just think that I'm being stupid, Let's move on to the next part, which is being successful. One of the other things that I really struggle with the idea of success as an artist is, what if I put my ideas out there and nobody gives a shit? Nobody receives it the way I thought they would. And as I said, I'm pretty nervous about putting my ideas out there and putting them into the world, and whether the world will respond to my ideas the way I do. And Pause to me thought of it this way: put your ideas out there. Just do it. Put whatever you want out there. I thought about it. There's, billions of people on this planet, 7 billion. And yes, there's only obviously a certain amount who care about art. There's obviously only a certain amount of people who enjoy looking at art. There's only a certain amount of people who are artists and struggle with the topics I'm speaking about. But I know within the hashtag for Instagram's #art, there's about probably 2 million plus posts in there. Surely there has to be at least 200,000, 22 people in there who's going to be interested in what I have to say. As I said, even if you feel like it's just one person, and I know it's really difficult. You post something, you get 2 likes on it. You worked tons of hours on a piece and you only get 2 likes on it. It's really unmotivating. Not sure what the correct English term is, but it's unmotivating. And you just want to quit. But really, that one person knows one person, and that one person knows 5 people. Those 5 know 5, the 5 know 5, and it's just a ripple effect. Eventually, everybody will want to see. For example, as family, we sit together and sometimes we show each other TikToks we've saved on our phone when we watched TikTok. And I remember I showed someone a TikTok about this Asian guy who would always do these really cringy, when he would be there bro, someone's sitting here. It's no, the seat's empty, so can I sit on it? I was no, just stand. Then he was come here. I'm sure there's a guy, a lot of people know him, and I showed his video to somebody I knew, and they loved his video. So he went onto his page, watched every one of his videos, downloaded every single one of his TikTok videos, then he showed it to his brothers, and they went on just to say it almost all the time in the day for like a week. It was quite annoying, but the fact that you could influence one person who could just show their family like, hey, look at this. For example, I like to look at art with my girlfriend, and we look at it together, and it's really nice. Our favorite artist is actually Lop. Everybody knows him. And the fact that I've actually got her into looking at other people's art because I'm an artist, it's insane. Your art can influence so many people. And, back when I was in high school, our principal told us a story. The story goes that there was a storm the night before in this town, and it was a really rough storm. The next morning, a man was just taking his everyday stroll. He came across a boy on the shore. He was standing in the center of tons of washed up starfish and was throwing them one by one into the ocean. The man was confused because the little boy would never help out all the starfish, and he voiced his concerns to the little boy, and the boy just ignored him. When he said, "You're wasting your time, boy. You'll never help all of them." The boy ignored him, picked up another starfish, and threw it into the ocean, and looked at the man and pointed and said it mattered to that one. So yeah, I, for one, started picking up art again because of Amanda Rach Lee. She is a bullet journalist, bullet journal queen, and I loved looking at her spreads, how beautiful they were, and just all of that was just inspiring to me. And it reminded me of when I was a kid and I would make these Wings Club drawings, really bad, I'm telling you. I still remember they were pretty bad, but I was really proud of them. And she reminded me of that want to draw, and I made a friend online, and I'll end up sending them a lot of the stuff I started drawing, and they encouraged me. That encouragement pushed me. And you see, Amanda Rach Lee didn't have 1 million followers at that point. She only had a few, like probably 100-something thousand, and I know you're gonna say that's huge, but if someone like Amanda Rach Lee can influence me, they can influence you. You can influence someone. You could be influenced by a show, and that show that your art style is entirely based off of could inspire and influence other people. So don't feel like you ever don't have a voice, you're ever not unique. We never ever watched the same type of shows when we were kids. We never ever watched the same type of people as kids. So yeah, we can't help everyone, but you can help someone. You can inspire someone. And I hope I'm inspiring you today to just put out your work, make that podcast, go and make that YouTube video. Don't be shy. I'm also a very big fan of superhero stuff. Like, I'm a fangirl. And one of my favorite shows in the DC universe is Supergirl. She's truly selfless and is constantly trying to help everyone. But there are some people she just couldn't help, just due to circumstances. When she couldn't help them, she was overcome with grief, but her sister and her team reminded her that even Supergirl can't save everyone. Almost every superhero tries to save everyone, but you can't. And the same goes to creating. You can create a big enough effect to inspire change on a bunch of people, but there are still people who'll not be a fan of your work. And that's totally okay. You still have a big amount of people who will be a fan of your work. Just like with the superheroes, there's always controversy on whether they're a help or a nuisance, but a big part of the world they exist and find them valuable, and a big part of the people who follow you will find you valuable, will find your content valuable. So just create, and the right people will find you. Your creations, they'll find everything you make valuable. There will only be one you with your genetic makeup. Make it count. Another thing I'd like to bring out on whether you'll be successful or not is patience. I mentioned it earlier. Almost everything created that has been built today takes much longer than we realize. Our new society has really forgotten the old sentiment that Rome was not built in a day, and our generation is only in desire for instant gratification. What can we say? That is the way our world has been built. But let's just say you wanted to get monetized on YouTube. It can take 6 months or 2 years, just depending on a lot of things, but especially consistency. Not giving up even when you have only 10 views on a video. Just imagine that the house you're living in right now, imagine the person who was building it thought to themselves, this is going to take forever. So they stopped, they couldn't see the end product. You wouldn't have a house today. So don't give up because of time. Whether you like it or not, you gotta be patient. Even if you're not gonna get a lot of traction in your posts. it goes back to the last point. You'll grow in due time when you reach the audience you need. Then there's confidence. Now, there's tons of reasons why not being confident in your art will cause you failure, and I'm talking about the starving artist kind of failure. But you don't need to be a starving artist. Here's ways in your art. Number one, why you're not confident in your art is because you look at your art and think it's shit. And why is that? It's because you're aware of your mistakes, you're aware of the proportions, and what you're doing wrong. So what you have to do is accept your unsatisfaction and your desire to learn and improve. But you should also realize what level you're at. And if it's as bad as, obviously your first ever art piece, but I highly doubt it is, then you should be worried. But I don't think it is, so don't be worried. Number two, you are comparing yourselves to other artists. There are so many amazing artists, and you're comparing yourself to them. Stop. Don't compare yourselves to them. You and them are on different journeys. You can compare your art to them to learn something. Maybe they have better proportions than you. Maybe they have a better understanding of facial structure. You can learn from them by analyzing what they do that you don't. And that's important, but don't compare yourself to the next artist. I cannot compare myself to Vlop. I cannot compare myself to Loish. They're completely different to me. Vlop is Chinese. He was a software engineer and started learning digital art at around 18-19. And Loish has been drawing since she was about 14, 15, I can't be 100% sure. They lived in different parts of the world and had completely different upbringings and experiences. So what do you expect? They're going to be different. Their styles are going to be different. Their voices are going to be different. So don't compare yourself to them. Compare your art to them. Compare the painting strokes. Compare the colors. Compare those types of things. And number three, admit you improved greatly and appreciate your effort. I know. After you learn something, you finally know the gap between what you know and don't. And so you feel your work ain't good enough, but that's not the case. For every piece of art you make, you get better than the one before. So keep making art and just be grateful for the amount of improvement you've had over a certain period of time. Number four, you're only marketing your art and not yourself too. And this goes back to my other point. Remember to separate the art from the artist. A lot of the time you forget you have a personality too. People want to know about you. You have a life outside of your career. Market yourself. Show your initial progress, like when you first started versus now. Show what you're doing that day. I'm working on this art piece today. I'm editing a video for Patreon, YouTube. I'm making art TikToks. I'm live streaming. Come join me. Show what you eat. Of course you eat. You're a fucking human being. You're an artist. You eat because you need that to survive. Show that people are really interested in it. And maybe you could create some food porn art. Just a little tip. And it could be inspired from your meals. You never know. And as I said, I had a little bit of an unscripted part here that I wanted to speak about because I've been having a little rough lately. Money. You need money to be successful, right? But what if I said money makes you unsuccessful? No, I'm not saying you should be a starving artist. I'm not trying to contradict my entire podcast episode. What I'm trying to say is the following, that you shouldn't focus on the money. There were things I did in my life where I focused solely on earning income. To be quite honest, that has brought me a lot of depression, a lot of unhappiness, and a lot of unfulfillment because I feel like I'm just trying to chase something, but I'm not happy. I do want money. I do want money to buy nice food. I do want money to be able to improve my quality of my podcasts, to make my workflow more effective. I do want money, but I don't want me doing what I do. I don't want to be creating art solely for the purpose of money. I chose this career because I'm enjoying it. I'm happy with it. I enjoy the quietness that art brings me. That moment of still silence. The moment I'm alone with my thoughts and I can figure out how the shit do I make this eye look like the right eye. And that moment when actually it all comes together and I'm just dancing with my brush. Digital art. It's that moment, it's in those moments that I find the most tranquil joy of life. I find the peace of life. And I want to experience that every day, I want to experience that peace and come here and tell you that art makes me feel peaceful. And so, money isn't my sole focus. I don't want to stress about it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want my family to come either like, art doesn't make you, because it does. It does. And I'm richest now and being fulfilled. We'll figure out everything else later, and you should tell yourself the same thing. Don't stress about the money will come. Just stress about fulfillment. Stress about the happiness. Art should bring you happiness. And if it's not, you need to take a step back, because it's going to kill your passion if you're just doing it for one thing and one thing only. Anyway, that is my little extra 2 cents that was totally unscripted, but just something that I experienced recently and I wanted to share extra with you. And I just want to say, by taking in all these tips into account, you'll create opportunities that'll lead you to success. Whatever that success is, whatever form of success that may be, whether that is reaching hundreds of people, thousands maybe, so you could teach them. Maybe it's moving them with words like this in my podcast, or maybe it's just to create pretty pictures and, get people to like it, and you're a cloud to change their, whatever brings you true happiness and joy. It all starts in your brain, it all starts in your mind, it all starts with your mindset. So thank you for joining me on another episode on the podcast. Don't forget to leave a like and comment, follow my podcast on YouTube, and subscribe, and also follow me on Instagram. You will be successful, my dears. The question I have for this podcast is, which of the 4 mindset issues do you struggle with the most? Belief, fear in putting your ideas out there, patience, or confidence in your art? Or are you really stressed about money and it's not even on this list and it's on my little extra list? Let me know in the comments down below. And I actually truly enjoyed doing this, because it came from the true heart of my heart.